Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to be doing an update to a video I covered about a little over 2 years ago, which is titled, My Crazy Mom Ruined My Family, My Beta Dad is Jealous of Me, Am I Wrong for Wanting to Leave Them? And guys, that video, like I said, was done in January 2024. And it was a young guy, only 20 years old at the time, who unfortunately, like some guys, was born into the wrong family. Everybody's a jerk in his family, like the title said. His mom was a tyrant, just was a miserable household to live in. His dad was completely weak and actually jealous of him because our guy here was not like him. And add to the mix, he has an older brother who is a male effeminist. And that's a whole other story in itself. And the whole video is about him talking about his family, all that, what to do, how to get out. And you guys in the comment section, if you recall, and me, gave him advice and all that. Well, here we are, a little over 2 years later, and our guy has escaped. He's escaped New York, just like Kurt Russell, in South Carolina, making a new life for himself. He's still connected to the family, but at a distance, and is doing a lot better. And he's updating on that whole thing. And I'm covering this because I like to know how these guys that write into me are doing down the road. It's always good to hear they're making progress. And there was another video I did where he talked about his brother, who's a male effeminist, and even though he's an older brother and he's a male effeminist and screwed up, he cares about him because he's his brother. And he was with this gal who's a carousel rider using him, and he wrote in asking for help about that, and clearly nothing's changed there. And I'll post a link to both the videos. So I'm going to go through his update here, and again, it's always good to hear updates, and also give him some piece of advice. He's looking to get into the fitness industry, so as I was once a part of that, I'm going to give some advice at the end of the video. So any of you guys that are in the fitness industry or want to make a business out of it, pay attention to the end. You'll get to hear some tips that might help you. So he says here, hello SSM. I'm writing to give you an update on my life. If you remember, I was the one who had the toxic family and the male effeminist brother whose girlfriend is using him. He says here, anyway, I wanted to let you know I have now been in Greenville, South Carolina for a few weeks. I finally left New York and returned to where I feel at home. I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my chest. All the fighting and yelling in my house has vanished. I found out my mom, who gave me a lot of problems, is now losing her mind without me being there. Dude, you're 22 years old now. Not your problem. Good job. It took you a couple of years to get out of there, but you finally did. All you guys out there that are have bad family lives, once you become a legal adult, can find a way to take care of yourself or whatever, doesn't mean you got to stay there forever. Don't let it ruin you. Bravo, brother. Even though my mom does help pay my rent and actually help me get a new car for my dad, she does have some of her own issues. Well, it sounds like your mom has a lot of issues. And you know what? Given all the turmoil you had growing up, if she's giving you some money now, hey, take it for now. But I would as quickly as possible make it that you don't rely on her for anything. Because as long as your mom or your dad is helping you, even though they're jerks and you escape them, that gives them power over you. You must, and you're 22, get a full-time income, whatever that may be, so they don't have to help you, because otherwise they have power over you. Trust me on that. But right now, if you're milking them a little bit, given how they treat you, fine. I did act very graciously, and we at least parted amicably, even though she was crying and emotional during the last few days that we spent together. Doesn't she realize the reason you left is because of her and your dad? God's sakes. She introduced me also to a kid my age who is now my new best friend. His mom used to date my uncle, and he is a bit of a character. My uncle and I had a very strained relationship that turned estranged when I was 7 years old. Back then, I accidentally saw his then girlfriend changing when I went to use his bathroom at a hotel when I was 7 years old on a trip, and this was the first time I ever saw a woman butt naked. I was a bit confused and ran out of the room. Well, that would do it for a 7-year-old. You're like, ah! My uncle at the time got mad at me and corrected me a couple of times, and my grandma got in on it too after I was crying. Anyway, I was scared and afraid of my uncle for a few years. Well, now I'm a grown man. I work out. He actually has a lot of admiration for who I turn into as an adult. His girlfriend and now wife are also super supportive of me, and they act like my second parents. Okay, well, obviously your uncle overreacted when you were 7 years old, for heaven's sake, but I'm glad he's gotten his crap together and you can now rely on him. Because you couldn't rely on your dad. I hung out with him often. I'm just making sure never go hunting with him because he can be a bit of a loose cannon, especially when he drinks. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't want to go hunting or doing anything with firearms if a guy's drinking, let alone can't handle it. It turns out he doesn't like my dad either, and when he found out how my dad was raising me, he was legit horrified. He told me he used to beat the crap out of my dad, who was always a bit of a nerd. My dad is like Sheldon Cooper was someone, if like Sheldon Cooper was someone's father, and not even in a cool way. No, your dad, way worse. Way, way, way worse than Sheldon Cooper. Sheldon Cooper, I mean, I watched The Big Bang Theory. It's freaking funny. I mean, he's the type you want to slap upside the head, but he had redeeming features. And at least Amy didn't boss him around, at least in the beginning. But your dad, whole different level. Anyway, my uncle gets drunk and likes to tell me stories about all the gals he hooked up with when he was younger. He would go into graphic detail. For references, my uncle is a boomer, but always liked to date younger women, so Gen X is his target demographic. Or more like was his target demographic. All my relatives, except for me and my brother, were born and raised in South Carolina. My uncle knows the lay of the land well, and I am learning a lot about the South in the 70s. Seems like a better time than today to grow up. Boomers and Gen X really had it going on. Yeah, we did. I'm at the tail end of Gen X. I was born in 1978. I wasn't born in South Carolina. I was born in Southern California. All jokes aside that's why I can make fun of California, because I was born there. But yeah, hopefully guys like you can turn things around, because the direction things are ain't too good. I almost wish I grew up in those times, because he told me that the women back then were wild. Brother, women are wild now. They're just, well, I don't need to get into that. You know why. He had lots of gals, and blah, 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 blah. He would drink, and women would just approach him and start making out with him or banging him. He didn't even have abs or muscles, but was charismatic and fun, always the life of the party and the chill guy. Well, I'm glad you and your uncle have a good bond, but he sounds like kind of a bragger, kind of a D-bag a little bit. You know, I don't like braggers. But yeah, if he was considered to be the cool guy at the party, of course girls were lining up for him. He had to do anything because he was the popular guy. That's how it works. He can have a big giant beer bill. If he's considered to be the cool guy and the prize to get in the room, they'll line up. He's now teaching me how to let go of being so uptight and scared all the time, given I had to be disciplined in order to stand up to my parents and escape my bad situation in New York. Anyway, this leads to my brother. If you recall, I told you how my brother is a male feminist, and he's dating this girl who is always going for the bad boys. He's still dating her, and they still haven't had you-know-what. And yet, it's not like a religion thing. If they were both religious and never did that before, okay, fine. But he clearly wants to hook up, but it's not happening. He's still spending money on dinners for her and all this extra stuff, and they have even hooked up once. Smacked your brother. Well, I'm guessing you took my advice, everybody else's advice, that your brother can't be helped. It's his life. If he's getting involved with a gal who is a carousel rider and clearly using him, and he doesn't want to listen to you or anybody else, that's on him. He'll learn. I hear how my uncle was able to just hook up with girls when they were looking for their boyfriends, and the guys weren't there, and he didn't have to spend any money on dinners or say anything, versus my brother, who is still up with this girl. Because your uncle and your brother are polar opposites. I told my brother to tell her to come over and do it already, and he kept making excuses for why she can't come over. It's crazy because I don't believe this girl, who is at least a 7 and looks department, hasn't had you-know-what for a whole year. That's insane. And this girl is I'm not going to say former carousel rider, but had lots of bad boys and all that, and is suddenly not having any for a year. Unless she has some kind of physical problem or whatever, I guarantee she's cheating on him. Your brother is that guy, that clueless white knight. But the thing is, you say he's a male feminist, so frankly, given that category, I don't feel bad for him at all. In regards to my dating life, I've been casually running the numbers, talking to any cute girl I see. Simple as, I've met quite a few interesting gals, and it's easier down south. Sometimes I do want to have some fun with girls, just to let one out, if you know what I mean. but I don't want to get tied down. Stay on the purpose. Yes, you're 22 years old. Purpose, purpose, purpose. I know you're a young guy. You got needs. You want to have fun. And let me tell you, I went to South Carolina for the first time back in September. I went to Charleston. I was flabbergasted. That's the best way to describe it. At so many beautiful young gals walking around there. It was everywhere I went in Charleston. They were thin, they were feminine, wearing dresses and all. I mean, I know it was Sunday, but I also saw them on Saturday. And it was just night and day compared to the women I would see in Massachusetts. Shit, even down here in the South. I mean, in Florida. But different demographic, obviously, in Charleston, South Carolina versus South Florida. But still, very feminine, very friendly, you know what I mean? Night and day. So you got a lot of options. Just purpose first. And get your practice in. And when you're hooking up, for God's sakes, wear protection. You know the drill. Don't believe they're on the pill. Wear protection, dispose your protection, and provide your protection. That's the important thing. Well, anyway, a few days ago, I met a gal who wanted to have a one-night thing with me, and I had the best you-know-what in my life. Well, I would imagine, because I'm sure you're not the first guy she just met somewhere, wanted to have a one-nighter with. Again, protection. After the last few months, I need to spend time with a girl, and let me say, I heard in a previous video that girls don't like romantic, but they want it rough, and without going into detail, I realize that is true. Yes, yeah, they don't want you to romance them in the sack, they want you to bang their brains out. And anyone that say otherwise is full of crap. Your brother would probably believe the opposite. Something my brother probably would never understand. See what I just say? It's great when you don't have to put in much effort on some dates. Those are the best. I felt like a new man, made the last few stressful months worth it. Well, good for you. You're getting practice. Exactly. Just be careful with those carousel riders, man, for God's sakes. You don't want to be a daddy to a kid from one of those carousel riders or catch something. I'm throwing hooks out there when I see a cute girl, even if it doesn't work out, in order to practice and not be shy. I'm also working out, eating right to get in shape, but mainly focused on my job of becoming a personal trainer and other ways to make money. Good. Good, good, good. Keep your butt in shape, eat healthy. Eating healthy and getting adequate rest from your workouts is very important, man. You know, you can go to the gym and you can train hard, of course, in a safe manner, but then you got to rest to let the muscles recuperate, and you got to have good fuel. You can't be hitting the gym and training hard, eating garbage all the time. It's not going to do shit for you. My best friend, by the way, is an 18-year-old kid who is like the little brother I wish I had. He's a go-getter who wants to start a business with me using AI, and we work on that together as an income stream. Well, good for you. Let's see where it goes. I also joined a conservative Southern Baptist church with a men's group that meets weekly, and we all network and talk about ways to self-improve, and I'm making a lot of friends with them. It's so great to find a healthy space where, as men, we can talk about and plan ways to make our lives better. You are who you are surrounding yourself with. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's what guys need, because we know the FNS have been doing what they can to dismantle men's group for years now. That will help you. And I'm hoping that you have older guys in there that can help the younger guys like you, give you some guidance and everything. Every meeting, when you go to get together these guys, help out people you can help out with something you might know about, and they can help you. And by the way, mention my channel. As you know, I told you I took the NASM test for personal training. I'm trying to apply to gyms and have been interviewing everywhere I can for the last 2 weeks. A lot of rejections, but I'm not going to give up my dream. Don't give up. And I'm going to give you a lot of tips on that at the end of this video. I'm thinking of going independent one day and just distributing with old-fashioned flyers alongside with an internet campaign. What exactly would you recommend for getting started, since I know you managed to do it very successfully before YouTube? If I give out 3,000 flyers and just 1% of those people get back to me, that is 30 clients, and I could easily work 45 hours a week to make more money to pay the bills and invest. Regardless, I do feel happy to be back in South Carolina. If you're ever in Greenville, Spartanburg area, I'll buy you a drink, and thank you for all you do for the community. Well, brother, thank you for getting the hell out of New York and doing what you want to do. That's great. You're shocked. Your mom's shocked because she never thought you'd leave, you know? And again, that's kind of funny that now you're getting some money out of your mom. given how she's treated like crap all those years. But I want to quickly as possible end that, because as long as you're relying on her money to help you out, she's got power over you. Trust me on this. The second you're making your own money because you're your own man, then, she has no power over you. End of story. And I'm sure your dad's probably jealous as hell of you. And then your older brother, he needs to fail and be hurt badly to wake up and realize reality. But guys like him usually don't change. But you, my man, can make something of yourself. And it sounds like you are. Now, I'm going to give you some best advice I can with regards to the personal training front. So hopefully you can get what you want. No particular order. So the reason you're having a hard time finding a job, unless it's the local economy, is simply you're 22 years old and you don't have any experience. You pass the test, that's great and all, and you'll probably look like you're in good shape. That's not enough, okay? If you're in the catch-22 scenario where you can't get the job without experience, which you don't have, but you can't get experience on getting the freaking job. So my best advice is just keep doing the interviews, and sooner or later, some gym will hire you. They may have to throw a condition in there like, okay, we'll hire you as a trainer, but you got to open up the gym a couple days a week at 4 o'clock in the morning or some ungodly hour. Then you're going to have to take it. Take what you can get at any gym in the beginning just to get your foot in the door and get experience. And then at that job, if you don't like it, work there 6 months to a year, and then start applying other places. And when they ask you why you're leaving after 6 months, you can explain that you tried and tried and tried, and you were the gym I wanted to go to, but you get the point. And after you get that job, be aware that, you are 22. So don't take offense if you have a hard time getting clients because you're young. People are going to think, hey, if I'm going to spend, let's just say that gym charges, I'm picking a fucking number, $90 an hour for a personal trainer, and that can happen depending on where you live in the country. They're going to be like, I want to make sure somebody knows what they're doing. So a guy in his 30s and 40s as a trainer, in their mind, is going to have a lot more experience than a guy who's in his 20s. Even though you could have a guy in his early 20s that can have vastly more experience and knowledge, or more knowledge than a guy in his 30s or 40s, but that's perception. So it's going to take you longer to get clients, but you will. And my best advice is this: is at the gym, people will always sign up for personal trainers as long as they offer personal trainers. And the gym will then decide what trainer who works there to assign said client to, depending on what they want. Some clients may only want to work with a woman, some may only want to work with a man, or somebody of a certain age. So you'll get some clients assigned to you, but the reality is, if you want to build up a client list at the gym, you got to be a salesman. It's just a reality, okay? But you be a salesman without being a douchebag salesman. So I recommend that whenever you're there on the floor, because they might give you floor hours to like man the desk, for a few hours, talk to people. I recommend doing all your workouts there when it's busy and people can see you training. They can see that you know what you're doing, and talk to people. Get to know everybody. Remember names. Remember things about them. And when the time is right, you mention that you're a personal trainer. If you're ever interested, whatever. You got to keep the numbers, okay? But again, you got to look like you're not. You got to make it be like, yeah, you talk to them because you like them, but it isn't just because you want them as a client. It's a delicate balance. I had to do it. I'll be frank. I didn't like having to do it, but I had to do it. That's just part of the thing. And by working at a gym, you can get all the experience because you'll find out what kind of trainer you are. You'll find out your style on the gym's dime. Okay? And by the way, here's another thing. If your gym charges, I'm picking a number, $90 an hour as a personal trainer, you're not going to get paid $90 an hour. You're not going to get paid $45. You'll probably get paid a third. You might get paid $30, and I'm being generous there. That's just the reality. So be aware of that. Okay. And then as you have more credentials and experience and certifications, then you can tack on a few bucks. The first gym I worked at, they were charging $65 an hour for personal trainer. This is back in 2015, 2016. And I got paid $22. That's what I got. And as I got experience, I got to push it up to another couple bucks. But when I went in business for myself, I kept it all. But remember, these gyms, yeah, they're keeping the majority of the money, but it's their gym and their equipment, and you're on their insurance policy, even though what they pay for insurance for you is probably going to be nothing. That's just a reality. So I'd recommend being at a gym training people for at least a year, if not 2, before you go off on your own. And in that time period, I would also recommend teaching a couple classes, boot camps or something else like that. You'll figure it out, and that way people can see you and get to know you and all that. Then you'll make more money. And then for that year or two, definitely, frankly, since you're 22 years old, I'd say 2 years, even though you may hate working for somebody else, that gives you time to find out your style. And that way, if you ever mess up with a client, worst case scenario, if it goes so horrible you got fired. But if you mess it with a client when you're in business for yourself, next thing you know, you're getting negative reviews on Google and Yelp and all that, and that can mess up your business. You want to learn and make your mistakes working for somebody else, because you make minor mistakes. If they're minor, they're not going to fire you. You learn on their dime. And then when you've mastered yourself and found out your style, then you can go off on your own. But I can't make this any more clear. There's going to be days you're going to be going to the gym being like, oh, God, I got to meet people at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm only getting paid this amount of money. You're paying your dues, okay? I had to get up and meet people at 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes and get paid crap pay at a gym I didn't like so much in the beginning. But that was paying my dues to get experience, so eventually I could be in business for myself. When I went into business for myself in 2018, I took some clients with me. I started doing in-home training. I went to their house, and a lot of them had equipment of their own, or I brought equipment, and I was charging at the time in 2018 between $80 to $110 an hour. Being in the Boston area with much higher cost of living, that's how things go for, and I fucking got it. So I went from making like $22 an hour, give or take, to making $80 to $100 all in my pocket. I barely got the insurance costs for my operation were next to nothing. The only real expenses I had for business were the mileage of traveling to people's homes. And the people who live close to me, I would charge $80 an hour. If I had to travel a greater distance or some shitty hour like 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd charge more money. And they'd pay for it. And either they did or they didn't. And they would. And so use the beginning stages as paying your dues to learn your ropes and all that. Because not all trainers are the same. And also, here's another thing that's very important. And I can't stress this enough to all the future trainers out there or want to do it yourself. Unless things are different where you are, and I highly doubt that, the majority of your clients are going to be women. For me, both at the gyms I worked at and on my own, 70-80% of the time my clients are women. Therefore, you need to get used to working with women. And that can be your best friend or worst enemy. Because men generally don't want to have to pay for something they think they can figure out themselves. And if you go to any gym, you look around and most people don't know what the hell they're doing. And men are pig-headed, let's be honest. But at least we're smarter with our money. Women were more likely to spend money, and they'll want somebody to teach them how to do it. So 78% are probably going to be women. And you need to be able to work with them of all ages, okay? And all types and all shapes. And be aware, women are no different when it comes to training them as a personal trainer than they are being on a date or a relationship. They get bored easily. So my advice is working with female clients is you got to keep it interesting. You got to keep it new. A guy who's trying to get stronger and bigger and trim some pounds, he'll have no problem, starting every workout on the bench press and then go doing some rows and then do some squats and all that. He'll be cool with that because he's heaving heavy weight and all that. Women will get bored. So if one workout you're doing dumbbells, well, the next workout you got to be doing some machines. The next workout, some kettlebells. The next workout, some TRX. Constantly mixing it up, making it interesting. Because the second it gets boring, they're going to start to think they're wasting their money. Okay? And also keep it professional. Ideally, when you're working with the female clients, be in view of everybody, not in little remote places. You don't want anything being said about you that you didn't say. Okay? And watch what you say in terms of jokes or any flirtations and stuff like that. Be aware that they don't like you or any joke you might say, they could take it a different way. The next thing you know, you're getting complained about. It happened to me once. Over the dumbest joke possible, I still got complained by some annoying mid-20s gal who I was teaching in a boot camp. She was from the South. I made a little joke about Southerners. It was this no big deal as can be. Trust me on this. I still got pulled into my manager's office about that. And my manager was a woman who was cool. And when she told me what happened, I was like, for God's sakes. And she admitted, yeah, this girl was being ridiculous. But she still had to address that. So just be aware of that, And there's a lot of other things there, but I would focus on that for the next bare minimum of a year, if not 2 years, get experience, get clients. And then at that point when you think you got a lot of experience, write to me again, and then I can give you advice of starting an actual business out of this whole thing. Because unless you're working for a big box gym, I'm talking like an Equinox or the ones that charge like $150, $200 an hour, something ridiculous, like in a city for personal training. Remember, you're only getting a cut of that. So the higher they charge for personal training, potentially the bigger cut you get. The lower they charge for personal training, the smaller cut you get. And also remember, the people that are going to buy personal training have to have the disposable income to do it. That means you're not going to get a lot of people in their 20s unless they have money, like a trust fund or something. Usually the people who are going to be buying personal training are 30s, 40s, and 50s on up, okay, because they have the additional money to buy it. You know, if your gym charges $90 an hour and they want to do it 8 times a month, 9 times 8, $720, $720 a month, most people couldn't afford that, you know, or at least not certainly when they're young. So remember, the people you go for are the ones that are going to have the income. It is what it is, because remember, this is a business. You want to help people, you want to coach them, you want to train them, but you want to also remember it is a business, because you got to pay the fucking bills, you know? But again, in the gym, when you're talking to people, be a friend to them, be a good guy, but also you got to be a salesman. End of fucking story. You're only going to get so many recommendations from the gym and people assigned to you. And you'll also be competing against other trainers. But you'll find your own style over a while. You'll find out whether you're more of a drill sergeant or you're more laid back. I'm type B personality. I was a laid back trainer, but people got what they wanted out of it. I helped people achieve their goals, but I made things fun. That was key. I think that's why they like me. A lot of female trainers are type A personalities, and a lot of people don't like that. But some people do want that because they need a type A drill sergeant kicking them in the ass. I could turn on the drill sergeant, but that just wasn't me by nature. I could be a drill sergeant on here, but in terms of the training, because I enjoy training, I kept it more fun. I would motivate them and I'd give them a kick in the ass, but I wasn't like fucking Gunnery Sergeant Hartman from Full Metal Jacket. That's just not my style. You know, I want to have a good time. And I would educate and help them out. And people that like me, my personality, my style stayed with me. And the ones that didn't moved on. You're not going to match up with everyone. So I've gone on fucking 10 minutes about this, at least. So that's what I think. So just keep plugging away. You'll get that job. If you're working on side businesses, do that too. And eventually you'll get there, man. One day at a time. One accomplishment at a time. But as soon as you can, get off getting subsidized by your mom. That is a bad place to be. You can't be totally escape and free from that family as long as you're accepting money from her. That's what I think. So, bro, good luck to you. Let me know how you're doing in a year. And for all you guys out there, same thing, you can escape a bad situation. And there you go, for all you aspiring trainers or guys who want to know how to make it work, there's some info for you. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Give this guy a shout out. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.